Hey everyone, Shawn Clement here at the gorgeous Royal Quebec Golf Club in Quebec City. And today we're going to be talking about probably one of my biggest pet peeves in golf. When somebody says, keep the head down. And that's, in my opinion, one of the top 5 worst tips known to golf. And let me explain to you why, okay? Number one, anatomically, if I were to gather enough backswing to be able to perform a really nice action towards my target, I need to gather a full enough backswing. If you remember, Jack Nicklaus used to pivot his head so that he could finish the backswing. And that was basically one of his #1 swing keys his whole life. So, and the second part is, you'll notice Jordan Spieth at address tends to tilt his head. And you'll notice that every pro coming into impact has a tilted head. Why is that? Well, we're going that way, not that way. So if you see somebody doing this in the backswing, well, they're moving their head, yes, but they're mostly focused on the ball and getting ready to hit down on the ball versus getting ready to squeeze a ball through the door frame or cut through a dandelion stem in the direction of the target. So you need a proper task that's going to allow the head to do what it needs to do. So anatomically, your head only has about 70 degrees of range. So that means I can't really get the chin all the way to the shoulder. So in order for me to finish my backswing, I need to turn the head a little bit so I can really gather the backswing. If I don't turn the head, now it feels like I can't really finish the backswing, so I'm going to force myself to finish the backswing, and you can see now how I'm dragging myself forward. I see this all too often. And when you drag yourself forward that way, well, the center of gravity of your body, the centermost point in your body where you have equal weight up and down, forward to back, and side to side, well, watch what happens. See how I'm on my toes now? Well, how do I recover from this? There is no recovery. So you need to first and foremost turn the head about 20 degrees to allow you to finish the backswing, and then tilt the head about 20 degrees to allow you to swing toward the target. Now, many of you are going to look at that and go, okay, he said 20 degrees, 20 degrees. Yeah, this is about it, right? See, we're really lousy with body part positioning as human beings on the planet, but if we have a door frame, if you take an alignment rod and stick it in the ground vertically and get ready to squeeze the ball into that alignment rod like it was a door frame, notice my position of my head? It's behind the door frame, and that allows me to finish the backswing, and it's slightly tilted behind the door frame as well. So this really gives me the ability to drive that way. If I tilt it forward, now I'm driving down into the ground. And, you know, it's hard to move a planet. Much easier to move a bacon strip size divot, okay? So we're pre-turning the head and pre-tilting the head. I got my door frame right there. So now it feels like I can gather, and if I stay with my task, you'll notice that my head stays back. And this allows me to come back down the right line and go through the door frame. So if I default back to the ball, oh, look at that. Hey, you got a defective right hand and right shoulder, and you know, stop coming over the top. Well, all that was I got worried about ball contact and I got off my task. So I'm trying to squeeze the ball through the door frame. I'm squeezing through the door frame, squeeze through the door frame. So if I stay with that task, my head will stay back beautifully. I won't have to ever worry about that. So I'll do that again. I'm behind the door frame. So if you look at when I get ready to squeeze into the door frame, see how I have a little bit more weight up against my lead side? It's very much like a hunter with a high-powered rifle getting ready to fire that rifle from a standing position. I'm not going to fire it from over here. I'm going to fall on my butt. I'm not going to fire it this way. I'm still going to get thrown back until I get support. So my trail leg is holding me against my forward leg. So what we're doing here is we're using the trail leg to hold ourselves against this compression. I'm getting ready to squeeze through the door frame that way. So it really gives you the right body language, and that's what really prevents you from swaying off the ball, right? So I got my door frame, I'm getting ready to squeeze against the door frame. Now, as far as keeping the head down, we hear the expression all the time, keep your eye on the ball, keep your head down. If I'm trying to hit the ball, here's what happens. Let me just demonstrate. If I wanted to take the top of this ball off this stick, and I wanted to just do a little karate chop just below it, there it is, into it. There it is, above it. So we are that accurate. So if your eyes are on the ball and your club is on the ground, well, there's the conundrum, right? And if you don't know what to do with the ball, you don't have a specific task, like squeeze it into a door frame or cut the dandelion stem. So what happens is your club's lying on the ground, your eyes are on the ball, the brain says, oh, we got to come up to hit the ball. Well, there's your early extension, there's your thin shots, there's your top shots. So if my eyes are on the little sliver of grass between the leading edge of the club and the ball, and I am always paying attention to the sole of the club and its turf interaction. So now I'm going to cut the stem of that dandelion. Well, you noticed the only way to cut the stem of the dandelion is to hit the ball first. See, if the center of the ball is where the dandelion stem is, notice how the leading edge of the club still hasn't gotten there yet. So cutting through the stem is going to give me really solid contact. That's what puts the ball in the center of the club face. So for fairway woods, for chip shots, for any kind of task where you need to have the ball in the air, I always have my attention on how the sole of the club is going to interact with the turf and the ground. And that's what's going to give me phenomenal contact with the ball. Now, finally, as far as keeping your head down well past impact, well, that's going to have some pretty disastrous consequences insofar as your balance and the way you make your way to the target. And that, in the long run, is going to really affect the amount of power that you can output in your swing. So if I try to keep my head down, I get dragged into the dirt, or I'm going to have to collapse early. And then the brain says, well, you know, this kind of hurts. I'm feeling pain in my neck and in my shoulder, so let's not swing so hard anymore. So now you're significantly impeding the amount of momentum that you can apply to the swing. So if I'm cutting through a dandelion stem, so my eyes are on the grass, cut through the stem into my target, notice how I'm going into my finish. So if I can cut through the stem into my finish, see that? I'm brushing through the grass every time. And now all I'm doing is see, the ball's gone now. It's light years away from me. So now I can just let my shoulder collect my head and bring my head up into the finish. And if the brain says, oh, no obstacles, everything's free and easy, now you're going to have a lot more momentum going into the follow-through. And in most cases, you'll have an excess to dissipate. Isn't that nice? You go from not having a follow-through to having too much follow-through where you're going to have to dissipate stuff. Well, that's where you see the helicopter finishes of Bubba Watson or Arnold Palmer or Patrick Reed that you just saw win at the Masters. There's so much velocity going into the finish where they have to dissipate the excess, or you'll bounce it off the back as you're finishing. You'll see some long drive competitors snap the shaft across their backs because there's so much excess in the follow-through. That means they're moving through the ball into the finish. Best way to do that, cut the dandelion stem in that direction and go with it. If you cut grass, you'll never have trouble with ball contact. You'll never have to worry about keeping your head down again. The head, by the way, sits on your shoulders. Shoulders sit on top of the rib cage. Rib cage sits through the spine into the pelvis. Pelvis sits on top of the hips. You bend from the hips to get the arms to cut grass. That has nothing to do with your head. If you bring your head down, you still can't get access to the ground. You have to bend forward from the hips and have a nice knee flex where you feel like you got some good arch support, where the arches of your feet are secure to the ground. Now I can cut grass, and if I can cut grass, I'm going to have phenomenal contact with the ball. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.